Before we begin, pause for just a second. If you want stories like this to keep finding you, then like and hit the subscribe button. And leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Now, turn the lights down, stay very still, and let the shadows take over. I didn't find the camera right away. That's the part that still makes my stomach tighten when I think about it. For weeks, maybe longer, it was already there, watching, while I went about my life completely unaware. It started with sleep, or more accurately, the lack of it. I'd wake up every morning feeling like I hadn't rested at all. My body was heavy, my head fogged, like I'd been dragged through the night instead of sleeping through it. At first, I blamed stress. I'd recently moved into a small one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town, nothing fancy but quiet. The kind of place you take because it's available, not because you love it. The nights were silent there. Too silent. No traffic, no neighbors I could hear through the walls. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional tick of pipes cooling. I told myself the silence was messing with my sleep. Then I started noticing the feeling. That sense you get when someone is standing behind you, even when you know you're alone. It would hit me at random times. Brushing my teeth, lying in bed scrolling through my phone, sitting at my desk with my back to the room. I'd turn around expecting to see something, someone. There was never anything there. The apartment was exactly the same every time. Door locked, windows closed, nothing disturbed. Still, the feeling lingered. One night, I woke up around 3 a.m. with my heart racing. Not from a dream, there was no dream. Just sudden, sharp awareness. The room felt wrong. The air felt thicker like it had weight. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. No movement at all. I reached for my phone on the nightstand. The screen lit up my bedroom in pale blue light, and that's when I noticed something strange. My closet door was open. I always kept it closed. Always. The hinges squeaked loudly when it moved, and I hated hearing it at night. I knew I hadn't opened it before bed. I sat up slowly, phone clenched in my hand, light pointed toward the darkness inside the closet. Just clothes, jackets, shadows folding over themselves. I told myself I must have forgotten. Maybe I'd grabbed a hoodie earlier and didn't remember. Sleep does weird things to memory. I closed the closet door, lay back down, and forced myself to breathe slowly until my heart stopped trying to escape my chest. The next morning, I noticed something else. My phone battery was almost dead. That wouldn't have been strange if I'd been using it, but I hadn't. I always plugged it in overnight. The charger was still connected, still working, but the battery sat at 8%. I brushed it off. Old cable. Background apps. Nothing worth spiraling over. But small things kept stacking up. My laptop would be warm when I got home from work, even though I was sure I'd shut it down. Browser tabs would be open that I didn't remember clicking. Once I found my desk chair pulled slightly away from the desk, angled toward the bed. That one stuck with me. I started checking the locks more often. Twice before bed. Sometimes 3 times. I checked windows even though they'd been painted shut years ago. I told myself I was being paranoid, until the smell started. It was faint at first, almost unnoticeable. A kind of warm, stale odor that didn't belong to dirty clothes or old food. I cleaned the apartment top to bottom, opened windows, burned candles. The smell kept coming back, always strongest in the bedroom. One evening after work, I decided to finally deal with the clutter I'd been ignoring since the move. I pulled boxes out from under the bed, old books, cables, random junk. That's when I noticed the vent. It was mounted low on the wall near the baseboard, angled slightly toward the bed. I'd seen it 100 times and never thought twice about it, but now something felt off. The screws were newer than the others in the room, cleaner, less worn. I crouched down and shined my phone's flashlight through the slats. Something reflected back. Not dust, not metal. Bless. My breath caught in my throat. I leaned closer, adjusting the angle of the light, heart pounding louder with every second. Behind the vent cover, tucked into the darkness, was a small black lens, pointed directly at my bed. For a moment, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. It felt unreal, like my eyes were lying to me. I reached out with shaking fingers and unscrewed the vent cover. The camera was real. No bigger than a matchbox, wired into something deeper inside the wall. A tiny red light blinked once, then went dark. I stumbled backward and sat hard on the floor, my pulse roaring in my ears. Someone had been watching me, sleeping, changing, living. I didn't know for how long. I didn't know who. My first instinct was to call the police. My second was to grab a bag and leave immediately. But fear does strange things to logic. I just sat there, staring at the camera in my hand, trying to understand how this could have happened without me noticing. Then I noticed something else. The camera was warm, recently used. I followed the wire with my eyes as far as I could see into the wall cavity. It disappeared into darkness, deeper than I could reach without tearing the wall apart. That meant the footage had to be going somewhere. Recording, streaming. I unplugged the camera with a sharp tug. The red light flickered briefly, then died completely. The apartment felt different instantly. Quieter, emptier, like something had stopped breathing. I packed a bag and left that night. Slept on a friend's couch. Filed a report the next morning. The landlord acted shocked, swore ignorance, promised an investigation. They took the camera. What they didn't take was the feeling. Because a few days later, while lying awake at my friend's place, my phone buzzed with a notification from an unfamiliar email address. No subject line. Just one sentence in the body. You shouldn't have unplugged it. And that's when I realized the worst part wasn't that I'd been watched. It was that someone knew I'd found the camera and had been watching me react in real time. I didn't reply to the email. I just stared at the screen until it dimmed, my reflection staring back like someone else entirely. You shouldn't have unplugged it. That sentence replayed in my head over and over, stripping away every comforting explanation I'd tried to cling to. This wasn't some forgotten camera from a previous tenant. This wasn't a landlord cutting corners or a cheap surveillance setup gone wrong. This was active, intentional, personal. I spent the next day barely functioning. Every notification made my heart jolt. Every unfamiliar car outside my friend's apartment felt like a threat. I kept checking behind me, convinced I'd see someone standing too close. The police called that afternoon. They said they were looking into it. They said there were no fingerprints on the device. They said tracing the wiring would take time. Their voices were calm, procedural, like they were discussing a stolen bike, not the possibility that someone had been watching me sleep. That night, I dreamed of the camera. Not the device itself, but the feeling of it. The awareness, the certainty of being observed. In the dream, I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I could only stare straight ahead while something unseen adjusted its angle, slowly, patiently, making sure it could see everything. I woke up gasping. My phone was on the nightstand. I hadn't put it there. I always left it charging on the floor. The screen lit up before I touched it. A new message. This time it wasn't an email. It was a video file. No sender. No preview thumbnail. Just a timestamp, 3:12 a.m. My hands shook as I pressed play. At first it was darkness. Then the image sharpened, resolving into my bedroom. My bedroom. The unmade bed. The crooked picture frame. The vent. The footage was from the camera I'd found. The timestamp in the corner confirmed it, recorded the night before I discovered it. I watched myself sleeping, chest rising, turning slightly, pulling the blanket higher around my shoulders. I felt sick. Then the angle shifted. The camera moved. Someone was adjusting it. A shadow crossed the frame, tall and distorted against the wall. No face visible. No features. Just the implication of a person standing there, close enough that I could hear faint breathing through the audio. They leaned in toward the bed. Toward me. I slammed my phone face down and nearly dropped it. My friend burst into the room asking what was wrong. I couldn't explain it, not properly. The words tangled in my mouth, too big and too terrifying to shape into something reasonable. I showed her the video instead. She watched in silence, her face draining of color. That's your place," she said finally. I nodded. She didn't ask who sent it. We both already knew the answer. That night we double-checked the locks, closed the blinds, turned on every light. It didn't help. The sense of being watched had followed me. It wasn't tied to the apartment anymore. It was tied to me. Over the next few days, more videos arrived, always from different angles, different nights. Some from the bedroom, some from the living room. One from the bathroom, angled carefully away from anything explicit, but close enough to be unmistakable. Whoever it was, they weren't just watching. They were curating. Each video was edited, trimmed, labeled with timestamps and short captions. Restless. Didn't sleep well. Almost noticed. The worst one came 3 days later. The subject line read, "You forgot this part." The video opened on my bedroom again, but this time I wasn't asleep. I was standing. In the footage, I walked to the closet, opened the door, stared inside for a long moment, then closed it and returned to bed. I didn't remember doing that. I replayed it again and again, searching for some sign it was fake. A glitch, a cut, anything. But it was seamless. "That's not possible," I whispered. My friend watched it too, her expression tight. "Did you sleepwalk?" she asked. "I've never," I stopped, because suddenly I wasn't sure. The gaps in my memory, the exhaustion, the misplaced objects, the chair angled toward the bed. What if I'd been awake more than I realized? That night I refused to sleep. I sat on the couch with the lights on, coffee growing cold in my hands, watching the hallway like something might crawl out of it. At 2:47 a.m., my phone vibrated again. A message. "No cameras now. Just me." The power went out immediately after. The lights died. The apartment plunged into darkness. Somewhere down the hall, I heard a soft click, a sound I recognized, a door opening. And that's when I understood the truth that made my blood run cold. The camera was never the real threat. It was just how they made sure I wouldn't notice them coming. And whatever was out there already knew exactly where I was. The darkness didn't feel empty. It felt occupied. I stayed completely still on the couch, every muscle locked, listening to the hum that comes when power cuts out and the world suddenly feels too quiet. My phone screen was the only light left, dimmed automatically to save battery, glowing like a fragile shield in my hands. The hallway stretched in front of me, swallowed by shadow. Then I heard it again. A soft, deliberate step. Not rushed, not clumsy. The sound of someone who knew exactly where they were going. My mind screamed to move, to run, to hide, but my body refused. Fear pinned me in place like an insect under glass. I held my breath, counting the seconds between sounds. One step, pause, another step, closer. I raised my phone just enough to activate the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, trembling as badly as my hands. The hallway was empty. The bathroom door stood open the way I'd left it earlier. The bedroom door was closed. I hadn't closed it. The doorknob turned slowly. Not enough to open. Just enough to test. I bit down on my sleeve to keep from making a sound. My heart was pounding so hard I was certain whoever was out there could hear it. The flashlight flickered as my grip tightened. The knob stopped moving. Silence. Seconds stretched into something unbearable. I waited for the door to swing open. I waited for footsteps. For anything. Instead, my phone vibrated. A new message. I didn't want to look. Every instinct told me not to. But fear has a way of dragging your eyes exactly where they don't want to go. You always freeze right here. The bedroom door creaked open. The flashlight beam caught the edge of it first, then the inside of the room. My bed. The wall. The vent where the camera had been. Something shifted just beyond the reach of the light. A shape detached itself from the darkness. I couldn't make out details, only height, unnatural stillness, and the sense of attention so intense it felt physical, like pressure against my skin. It didn't rush toward me. It didn't speak. It simply stood there, watching. I screamed then. I don't remember deciding to. The sound ripped out of me raw and uncontrolled. I jumped up, bolted for the front door, nearly slipping on the rug as I fumbled with the lock. Behind me, the footsteps finally sped up. Not running, keeping pace. I tore the door open and stumbled into the hallway outside my apartment, screaming for help, for anyone, my voice echoing down the empty corridor. Lights snapped on in neighboring units. Doors cracked open. Someone shouted my name. I didn't look back. By the time the police arrived, the power was back on. The apartment was empty. No signs of forced entry. No footprints. No one hiding in the bedroom or the closet or the bathroom. They asked me the same questions again. About stress. About sleep. About anxiety. I showed them the messages. They couldn't trace the number. I showed them the videos. They said the files had been deleted before they could extract metadata. When they finally left, one of the officers paused at the door. "Make sure you stay somewhere else tonight," he said quietly. "Just to be safe." I didn't argue. I never went back to that apartment. Weeks passed. I moved cities. Changed my number. Deleted every account I could think of. I tried to convince myself that fear fades with distance. It doesn't. Just learns to wait. Last night, in my new place in a building I've never shared my address for, my phone lit up at exactly 3:12 a.m. No sound. No vibration. Just a screen turning on by itself. One sentence appeared before I could lock it. Different room. Same habits. I sleep with the lights on now. Not because it helps, but because I know wherever they are, they prefer the dark. I didn't sleep after that message. I sat on the edge of the bed until morning, lights blazing, television murmuring nonsense just to prove the world was still functioning. Every shadow felt intentional. Every sound felt rehearsed. When the sun finally crept through the blinds, it didn't bring relief, only embarrassment at how exposed everything looked in daylight. I told myself the message could be a delayed send, a coincidence, some glitch riding on my fear like a parasite. Then I noticed the vent. Different apartment, different city, same cheap beige walls, same rectangular vent above the door. I hadn't looked up there before. I stood on a chair, pulse ticking in my ears, and unscrewed the cover with shaking fingers. Nothing fell out. No camera. No wires. Just dust. I laughed. Loud. Too loud. The kind of laugh that tries to drown out the truth by force. That's when my phone chimed again. A video file. No text. No number. Just a timestamp. Recorded 8 minutes ago. I pressed play. The footage was grainy, slightly tilted. Exactly like the hidden camera from my old apartment. The view showed my bedroom. My new bedroom. The angle was wrong. Higher than any shelf. Closer than the vent. The video showed me standing on the chair. Unscrewing the vent. Looking directly toward the lens. I dropped the phone. It hit the carpet face up, still playing. I watched myself climb down. Watched myself back away slowly. Watched myself sit on the bed, hands on my head, staring into nothing. The video ended just before I picked the phone up. I ran. I didn't pack. Didn't lock the door. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs felt disconnected from my body. I ducked into a coffee shop already crowded with morning noise and strangers and normal life, collapsed into a chair, and waited for my hands to stop shaking. They never really did. I went to the police again. New station. New officers. Same looks. They watched the video. Paused it. Replayed it. One officer frowned. "There's no transmission data," he said. "No upload path. It's like the file was generated locally. That's impossible, I said. I don't have any recording apps. I didn't film that. He nodded slowly, the way people do when they've already made up their minds. They suggested counseling. I suggested they check my apartment. They agreed reluctantly. Nothing was found. No devices. No access points. No signs of tampering. I broke my lease that day. I stopped renting apartments. Moved into hotels. Then motels. Then places where I could see every corner of the room without moving my head. I taped over vents. Covered mirrors. Slept with my phone powered off and wrapped in towels. For a while it worked. No messages. No videos. I started to believe the fear had burned itself out. Then one night, in a roadside motel miles from anywhere, I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not mine. Slow. Patient. Right beside the bed. I didn't move. Didn't open my eyes. I focused on the pattern of the sound, counting seconds like it was a puzzle I could solve. My phone vibrated under the pillow. I didn't need to look to know what it said. I did anyway. You're better at pretending now. The breathing stopped. The weight beside me lifted. The door clicked softly shut. I lay there until sunrise, staring at the ceiling, finally understanding what I'd been refusing to admit. This wasn't about cameras. Cameras were just the excuse. Whatever was watching me didn't need lenses or wires anymore. I had already learned how I move, how I pause, where I freeze. It wasn't in the walls. It was waiting for the moment I stop watching myself. And I don't think it plans on waiting much longer. I stopped running after that night. Not because I felt safe, but because I finally understood something fundamental. Running assumes there's a place you can go where the thing chasing you can't follow. This wasn't that kind of thing. I checked into one last motel. Same kind as before. Flickering sign, thin walls, no vents I could see. I chose the room closest to the office, under a security camera that actually belonged to the building. I asked the clerk how long the footage was stored. 30 days, he said. Good. For the first time in weeks, I unpacked. Not clothes, equipment. A cheap tripod. An old camcorder I'd borrowed from a friend. A notebook. Tape. If something was watching me, I was done pretending it wasn't real. I pointed the camcorder at the bed and hit record. I taped over every possible hiding place. Light switches. Smoke detector. TV frame. Even the bathroom mirror just in case. Then I sat on the bed and spoke out loud. I know you're here, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I'm done being scared in silence. Nothing happened. No vibration. No message. The silence felt heavier than fear. I stayed awake all night, eyes burning, listening to the dull hum of the motel's air conditioner. The camcorder's red recording light never flickered. The room stayed still. Morning came. I checked the footage. 6 hours of me sitting there. Breathing. Blinking. Slowly sagging as exhaustion took over. No glitches. No extra movement. For the first time in a long while, I felt something close to hope. That feeling lasted exactly 12 minutes. I was brushing my teeth when my phone buzzed on the sink. A new video file. Timestamped 5 minutes in the future. My hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Against every instinct screaming at me to smash it, to throw it away, I pressed play. The footage showed the motel room. But not from my camcorder. This angle was lower, closer, as if the camera was standing inside the room. The video showed the bed. Then the bathroom door slowly creaked open, and I stepped out, but not the way I normally move. My head was tilted slightly to the side, my shoulders too relaxed, my eyes unfocused like someone wearing my face without understanding how it works. The thing wearing me walked toward the camcorder, reached out, and turned it off. The video ended. Behind me in the real bathroom, the camcorder's red light went dark. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I sat down hard on the tile floor, my reflection warped in the taped-over mirror, and finally accepted the truth. There had never been a camera problem. There had never been a stalker breaking into apartments. Whatever this was didn't watch from the outside. It watched from inside moments I wasn't fully present. Microseconds of distraction, exhaustion, automatic movements. That's where it lived. I went to the motel office and asked for the security footage from the hallway outside my room. The clerk hesitated but eventually pulled it up. The footage showed the door to my room. It never opened. Not once. No one entered. No one left. Except me. Always me. I checked out an hour later. I don't stay anywhere longer than a day now. I don't sleep more than 90 minutes at a time. I narrate my movements under my breath just to anchor myself to the moment. I don't watch videos of myself anymore. I already know what I'll see. Sometimes late at night my phone buzzes, but there's no notification. Just a brief warmth like it's been used. Sometimes I catch myself pausing too long, staring at nothing, my thoughts drifting. And in those moments I feel it. Not watching. Waiting. Because as long as I'm fully aware, fully here, it can't step forward. But nobody can stay present forever. And when I finally slip, when exhaustion wins, when my mind blanks for just a second, it won't need cameras anymore. It'll already be standing where I was.